welcome to Rubbing Elbows. We are here with the dynamic duo, top producers, Gina and George. What's up? Welcome.
Actually, I do have a question right off the bat. Sure. Is it Gina and George or George and Gina?
That is a good question.
That's a great question.
Depends who you ask, I guess.
Yeah. Our marketing says some of it Gina and George, some of them says George and Gina.
We've never had it.
We don't have an official team name.
Well, take it outside
some people
then.
go Georgina.
Yeah.
Georgina.
Ooh, I like the Georgina. I like that.
Georgina.
All right, official. It's official.
You know, I've got a question before you start with your questions. I think a lot of people think that you guys met either on the runway or like a modeling school or something.
Or that we're married.
Sure. Where did you guys actually meet?
Great question, man. We met 14 years ago. Their partner at a lending firm came to my branch, Washington Mutual, Ventura and Laurel. I was doing home equities. I was a rep there. And he said, any of your decline loans that you do here, just send them over to us. Started sending him a lot of loans. He's like, I like this guy. Can you come over and meet my partners? Went down, met them, and I switched like right away and started doing loans at their Infinity Lending Group in Studio City.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And right away, I was a broker in that office, and I just love this guy. He was like straight out of Baghdad, thick accent. We put him on the phones, grammatically incorrect emails.
3 years in this country.
3 years in the country, but just such a good, hardworking person. Just resonated with everybody, and later, the rest is history.
Well, I don't remember where I met George. I just remembered one day he was just there and he was just texting me and he's, this guy outworks everybody.
Yes, he does.
So just one day I just remember I'm texting with this guy is like.
Send me off Marcus, man.
Send me deals, I remember we did that one deal on Irwin. So I don't remember where we met. I just remember just one day we were like in a relationship and texting and stuff. But I do remember the first time I met Gina.
You do?
I do. I'm going to remind you.
Ago?
Wow.
I think it was summer like 2015 or something. We were in a pool party.
Oh, that sounds like me.
But it wasn't your conventional. It wasn't a conventional pool party because I had my daughter with me. You had your son with you. Okay, I think it was the first time my daughter was ever like kind of starting to notice little cute boys, and she's like pulling me over there to meet your son. And I think she still asks about him. She's gonna kill me. She's like 11 already.
He is a lady killer.
Yeah, he's a handsome guy.
Why don't you guys maybe give us a little overview for anybody living under a rock and they don't know who you are, what you do? Just give us a little elevator pitch on your team and what you guys do.
Sure. So we are both licensed brokers. About 18. I'm 18 years in the business. I think he's right around there. And we got started in loans and wrote loans, and that turned to, we had a very large operation that turned to modifications, that turned to short sales, and eventually it turned to retail real estate. Actually, not as long as people think. I think we've been doing retail real estate somewhere around 2015. 2014, 2015 is when we started doing retail real estate, actually separately. So I ran my own shop. He was got a broker's license and was a capper at Keller Williams. And eventually, both doing very well individually, we decided to partner up and go to the agency and run a team. And so we run a pretty high volume team. We have some amazing agents, and we have consistently doubled our production year over year.
It's been good.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason for being able to constantly level up and double the production? Because that's how we identify between winners and everybody else. But what's the secret there?
I don't think there's a secret. I think it's combining her mindset, my mindset, both of us pushing as much as we can and having great people around us and just wanting more, right? Wanting more, not just in the business, wanting more in life. Talking to more people and just doing everything that any agent can do, working day and night, you name it, we do it. Whether it's marketing digitally, postcards, door knocking, cold calling, we do it all. And we're always looking for what's working, what's not working, improving and doubling down on what's working.
And now they're on your feed here on this podcast. So
yes.
They'll
We're
get
everywhere.
to you any which way. If faxes come back, they're faxing you.
Pagers were there.
Yes. Beep, beep.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
So you used the term capper at Keller Williams. Could you explain that for the people that don't know?
Sure. I'll let him explain.
Yeah, so at KW, they have a great model where you pay the company X amount. Every franchise has a different set fee. And once you pay that fee, you get 100% of your commission for the rest of the year. We did that for 3 years in a row. When I left, everyone thought I was crazy because the agency has no such a thing as capping. And my goal was to go from a 35, 40 million producer to double up. And I said, if I double up my first year, it'll make sense. It'll be worth it giving up that part of the commission. And I left and doubled up.
The rest is history. But capper comes from the word capping. You're
Capping.
capped at
Yeah.
what you're paying your
Right.
broker.
Correct.
And that says a lot because I was by myself running a $30 to $40 million production as an independent broker, meaning I had no split. So that was voluntarily what we did, thinking that we needed to come together and be aligned with a luxury brand that would allow us to grow. If you want to grow, you need to be in a room with people who do more than you do, a lot more.
Yeah.
And that
100%.
materially changed our business. We walked in and we were small fish, and that's where you want to be. You want to grow.
That's right. If
Yeah.
you're the smartest person in the room, you
You're not
gotta
doing
switch
it.
rooms.
Not good.
You're not
That's
doing it
right.
Exactly.
That also motivates you because it makes you want to, if you're a winner inside, it makes you want to be, number one on the board.
Yeah.
And when you're not, nothing greater in that sense. So you guys, switched from lending to real estate, and I feel like in a market like this where there's, everything is going to get cleaned up. All the people that are maybe not at the top are going to look for something else, and there's going to be a lot of people switching back and forth both ways. What do you tell people that are maybe considering switching from lending to real estate or vice versa? Because you guys have gone through that.
I think at the end of the day, it's, do you love what you do? Do you enjoy it? And if they do, and as long as they stick with it, anyone that did started real estate back in 2007, when it was the worst time, as long as they stuck with it,
Right.
they started doing great in 2012, 13, 14, and we haven't stopped, right? So as long as they stick with it and they like it, they're good. If they don't enjoy sitting behind a desk and looking at numbers and tax returns, going over, DTI and all that, then maybe that's not for you. Do the switch and see how real estate works for you. I think there is going to be a lot of cleaning up. All the agents that got into the business in the last couple of years and thought, this is the easiest business. I could sell anything, put up a house, it's sold in 2 days or off market. Now it's the difficult time. Now it's when I think sellers and buyers are going to look for seasoned agents, people that know contracts or brokers that sell a lot in the area, that have a track record. It's no longer, hey, my cousin can sell my house. Just put it up, put a sign in front of the yard and it's sold.
But do you think that's true that people actually, when they're analyzing if they should work with you, they actually look at your track record?
100%.
Or are they just kind of getting this vision and they know that, obviously you're successful and they want to be around that success? Because I feel like that's maybe more what it is. And there was actually a study done where they made a fake agent. They created a fake agent.
It's like Sally Foster Jones, right? It sounds very close to Sally Forster, but it's Sally. They created.
No, it was a marketing
It was
company.
a marketing company.
It was
yeah.
And that agent beat out every other agent, and there is no track record. It's just the image of that person was successful.
And I think that study was done a really long time ago, before anyone could look you up, right?
True.
And so now, it's very hard to argue with numbers. It's a crack up to me when you see people going, "I'm top 1%." And then they
It's a
sold
new
like
agent.
three
And then you look
houses.
them up,
Like
yeah.
it's like there may have been a day where that could work and people couldn't verify it, but that isn't today.
His mom thought he's top 1%.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the mom. Right. Top 1%
Right.
in my house.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that now, the general public is so much more educated, and the LA seller, by the way, is a lot more educated than certain markets. We do business and investing in other markets, and the LA seller is very, very educated on the type of real estate agent, what they sell, neighborhoods and pockets of what gets sold, the prices of things that get sold. So I think that track record means a lot, and it is, when we're going up against, another agent for a listing appointment, there are a few of them, but generally speaking, we're going to be the most experienced. There once in a while we're not, and we lost one.
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
If you have the track record and you have the online image, you got it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's not just online. They had to connect with you.
That's
They have
right.
to want to
the deal
be
too.
around
And they
you,
meet you.
right?
That's right. You know, I was gonna say there's agents that it blows my mind how people do business with them.
100%.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, who in their right mind is signing a listing agreement with
This guy.
fuck it, I'm gonna say Tony Teruzzi, okay? Who's doing business with this guy? Clearly there's people doing business with him. I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
But, you know, Tony Teruzzi, come at me, bro.
One thing is, because we came from such humble backgrounds, it is important to us, and we've had this discussion amongst ourselves many times. It doesn't matter where we go from here. We will always be nice. We're nice to everyone. We're nice to other agents. We have tried to build a reputation of being easy to work with, kind, fun, and so that when we call another agent, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I know George. I love George. Like I can, they want to work with us."
Reputation at the end of the
Reputation
day, right?
matters a lot, and I feel like those agents that they have a nasty reputation, I always wonder why. Why doesn't anyone want to do business with them?
Yeah.
And it's funny, I don't think anybody has ever said, George? Oh, nobody. Everybody loves George,
That's
always
good.
big smile, right?
Yes, you know
But-
what you're gonna get.
I
with
hope
them.
Tony's
Yeah.
paying for the sponsorship on this
Right.
episode.
By the way,
Gave him a big shout out right now.
we should also bring up the Women's Council Realtors, what the event we were at last week.
That was a great event.
That was fun.
That
That
was
was
an
fun.
excellent event.
People were bidding on spending some quality time with top producers, and you guys broke all records.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest record, I'm going to give another, I think one of the biggest records last year was Yana. It was $6,000. It was like, what?
Mind-boggling. I
Right.
know.
$6,000 to do lunch
To
with
have
Yana,
lunch, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to pay for lunch.
and you got to pay for lunch. Yeah. But you guys, how much was
Was
$15,000.
$15,000.
$15,000
And I stopped
change?
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason was pumping it for a little bit more, but it was
no.
just a really good event. We wanted to give back. We just had lunch with them yesterday, actually. It was a great lunch. We had 3 lenders in there. They teamed up to raise that amount,
Yeah.
right? And we had like a 2.5 hour lunch, and it was great. We masterminded, and we talked about how we could help each other grow. What's where they're coming from. How can we help each other? How can we connect them with our team, with our clients? And I think it was a really good event, and looking forward to next year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had a lot of fun at that event.
Yeah, I think it could have gone higher than 15 for sure.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're like, holy shit, what are we signing up for?
No, exactly. That's why I was like,
Right?
end this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How much am I going to give away?
How much
Yeah.
do I have to commit right now?
How much
Yeah.
business do I have to give back
Yeah.
to you?
Like, high price escort? No.
That one of them said that, right? I think it was
Yes.
Teresa. I think she
Right.
said it. She's like, I'm not, she threw it out there, like I'm not having sex.
No, it was
What's her name?
Gaia.
Gaia, maybe it was Gaia. Somebody said that.
Someone did say that.
Guy.
I was like, all right, everybody was definitely, kind of thinking that. So it's so how about like your first deal? Do you guys remember when you just moved into real estate, like how you got your first deal?
I do. You tell yours.
Should I start with mine?
Yeah.
Mine is funny, actually.
Okay, you go.
So when I first got my license, right away I called her. She had her place, and she was independent, and I joined right away to learn. And I was cold calling. I was cold calling for me. I was cold calling for her husband as a developer to find fixers. And this old lady picked up. She's like, "Yeah, I want to sell my condo." Great. Tarzana, ready to list. Go down there, did my pitch, signed the listing agreement, and put it on the MLS. As soon as I put it up, I got a call from 2 other agents. Like, "Oh, we have listing agreements signed with her too."
I remember this lady.
What is going on right now? I called her back, and I found out that she has some kind of a dementia. and she basically went and signed with like 5-6 different agents. And I had to take the listing down.
Oh, man.
That was my first deal that didn't happen. The first deal that actually went through was a referral from a family, and was a deal in Pasadena. They needed to buy a duplex to turn into a daycare, and it was a referral. And that's majority of our business until now, actually, is referrals.
Awesome.
How about
Yours?
you?
I was so I had my broker's license, but I was running a loan shop with the broker's license. So I did a lot of lending, not a lot of real estate, but obviously I could. And ended up on a deal, like a penthouse in West Hollywood for a client. Submitted an offer, got it accepted with Ernie Carswell, of all people, if you guys know him. So obviously he is.
Sotheby's.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's very respected. He's been in business a long time. I'm self-taught. I taught myself how to fill out the RPA. I taught myself everything I know in this business because I was the broker and there was nobody to go ask, which is wild to me. Now, I don't recommend that at all, doing that way, but it will teach you really quickly. Ernie is a very nice guy, but man, it was ruthless. I remember on Christmas Day crying over like him and the contingency removal, how aggressive he was with me, and thinking like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I was like crying to my husband. He's like, you can do it. It's going to be okay. And I was like, it's for me. And then it was recently, it was like a full circle moment. A few months ago, I was on a panel and Ernie was on the panel with me of all things. He doesn't remember it. He's a great guy, but it was so hard. It was just so hard.
It was your first deal, but it was probably his, thousandth.
And I'm like, here I am, right here. I'm right here.
That's awesome. Yeah. I remember seeing the first time I saw your sign was on a listing you had on Chandler. Do you remember that, Chandler?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to buy this house. And I think I was an escrow on the one next door or something. But your husband, shout out to Coco. He does great stuff, great work.
Yes, he does. And I think back to your question about lending or being an agent, I think that it's also a misconception that those are the only ways to be in real estate. There are a ton of different ways, as you guys know, to make money in this market. And we are not just one faceted. Obviously, we've had to reinvent ourselves, time over time in what we do every day, but we also invest, we buy, we flip, we keep, we are landlords, we hold rentals. So real estate is beautiful in that depending on the cycle, you can figure it out. As long as you have, you're watching what's on the, home front, you have maneuverability and you're going to go through and create what is going to make money in that cycle. So there's just so much to do.
So what's your favorite way to make money in real estate?
What we do right now.
Selling it.
To other people.
Big commissions.
Yes.
Best.
But if you ask my husband, he's big on right now
building,
keeping, and putting tenants inside.
Yeah.
I think there's so many different ways, right? Yeah. I think it drives me crazy when I hear there's realtors that have been in the business for 25, 30 years and they don't own, or they haven't bought or sold. And from the moment I got in and I said, all right, what am I buying, right? And that was our goal right away. And then ADUs came up. I'm like, that's it. And now we're big on that. We've been buying and building ADUs for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
ADUs have been around for that
Since
long?
2017.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. And that's, at the end of the day, we love what we do, but I don't think we want to do it when we're like 65. There has to be an exit.
Hey, Chuck.
Still here.
You got those off markets.
I'm still using my same picture from today.
Right.
Don't you love those agents?
Oh, man.
Until you meet them.
Hi, who are you?
Are you the same?
We've been talking all day. You have my card.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. If you say so.
So if you guys were able to go back to like day one, right? Now that you've been through it and you know exactly like what not to do and what to do, what would you tell your, day one agent that is starting? What would you avoid? What would you do? How would you do things differently?
I say because, like I said, we are both self-taught and we got where we got by doing everything ourselves. If I had the foresight to have just joined a team and not worry about that I was making 100%, and to say like, go find whoever inspires you, whoever's doing it really well, get with them, spend as much time as you can with them because your learning curve is this much shorter. Don't worry about how much you're paying to get there because it will take you such a short time to get there if you figure out who you align with, their work ethic, and you just follow exactly what they do. What we do is not rocket science. We did not invent the wheel, right? But we would have gotten there a lot quicker, I think, had we done it that way.
Yeah, I always hear like brand new agents saying, who's going to pay me the most?
Yeah.
It's like there's always going to be some broker can give you 100%, but you're doing 100%.
Yeah.
You can get 50%, but you have so much staff support. It's not even funny.
Right.
It's like your education fee, right? That's what I think about it, right? So one thing that I would changes. One, get in earlier into the business.
Okay.
Earlier, you were like 12.
No, I was not. Get in earlier and do more. Do more of everything. We've done it all, right? We door knocked right away and called and everything that Gina said. But you just have to do more of it and just focus on an area and just master that area really, really well,
Yeah,
right?
that's a big one.
Know everything about that entire area, whether it's like one city or we're like Studio City down to Calabasas. Like we know what almost every developer, every construction that's happening right now in that area, the price per foot, whereas the gated communities, the schools, just master that at the same time, and just do a lot more of whatever you're doing.
So I was on a panel in Vegas last week, and the question was asked to the panel, and I love this question. So I'm going to kind of flip. It's the same thing, but it's flipped, right? And they said, a smart man knows what to do. A brilliant man knows what not to do. So what would you avoid doing, or what would you not do if you started over now?
That's a good question, man.
It's a tough one, too. It took me a minute to think
What would
about
you
it.
It's tough because all the choices that you make create who you are, like ultimately, like who you become. So for me, I'd say that back when when the crash happened and no one knew what was happening, and it was loans, and then it was like mods, and then it was like short sales, there was always this element, particularly with the modifications, although we were doing them with an attorney in-house and the right way, where you felt like it was a little under the radar, right? And I hated that feeling. I hated feeling like it wasn't okay or above board. Part of what I love, what we do, is everything we do is so above board and so ethical and so documented. And so I guess if I could turn it, I would have avoided that. But it's tough because all of that knowledge that I gained there created, who I am today. But that part, I just hated that part, that section of growth, we'll say.
By the way, that was quite a question. I'd like you to answer it.
Okay, no problem.
What would you not
I'm
do?
prepared.
He's already thought about it.
No, I'll answer, two things. I'll answer one that I heard that I agree with, and then I'm going to try to remember what I answered. But, what I said was I would pass on more referral partners and deals early on that didn't fit in my lane, right? Because I took on, when you're starting, you take on anything that comes your way,
100%.
right? And for me, it was like, if I can just focus on the way I want to do business and the people I want to do business with, I would have gotten to where I need to get to much faster. Maybe wouldn't have felt that way in the beginning because you're passing up, money.
Right.
But passing on more deals absolutely is.
I like that. I think now thinking about it now, I think I should have took more time thinking about who to align myself with. I just jumped in right away and I just teamed up. There's a team, right? Let me join them. And I just joined that team. And if I took more time and analyzed and looked more and see who I really want to work with.
Yeah. You're not talking about Gina, right?
No, we had a gap.
My first team that I've joined when I first got my license, just thinking about it now, I could have done something different. But again, like you said, every decision that you made makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And just thinking about all of it now, I had no regrets. I've learned some things and just decided to branch out. And that was the great decision.
I agree with you, though. If I could go back, I would have gotten rid of some of my business relationships early. Because it's tough when you think that there's opportunity there, but you see like red flags that ultimately those red flags will terminate that relationship one way or another. So when it smells like a fish, it generally is. And now, deals come across or partnerships or whatever that I can safely say like, no, just absolutely no. And we wouldn't do that. But I think it takes experience to make that guess.
And confidence.
And confidence,
you have to be confident in what you're doing and that you're going to succeed either way. And if you believe in that, then you can say no, right, to certain things. And
I will say there is one thing I said no to in the last, I don't know how long, 10, 15, 20 years of just being in real estate. One thing I've said no to over and over is doing leases.
I like that.
Just refuse.
Yeah.
I only do leases for free and for my mom.
There you go.
Like, that's the only ones I do. I'll do leases for free for my mom. She's like, oh, I've got this tenant moving. Okay, sure, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm not doing leases. Like, I'll just, here you go, I'll refer it. I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's smart. Yeah.
You
You're deciding where to put your time and energy.
Yeah.
You do 1-2 leases and then you're going to get more leases.
Yeah.
So you guys deal with a lot of investors, right, and developers, and what are some investment red flags that you can maybe tell people to stay away from or look out for?
As far as like buying tear downs or
Yeah,
multi-units.
yeah, or just in general, if you want, just investing in real estate. What are some red flags?
I think just making sure that you're partnered with, as an investor or a
Yeah,
builder,
it's a big one.
making sure you're partnered with someone that really knows zoning laws, has a really good title rep that could pull up all the information that you need to make a decision and what you could build. Recently, I heard a story where a developer bought this property in Encino with an agent not that experienced, and she didn't tell him that he could only build 20% of the lot size. And he just sold the property and lost a ton of money because of that. But like just partnering up with the right person, or them doing the due diligence ahead of time.
Right. In other words, not cutting corners, because people try to cut corners,
Right.
and it's like in your investments, spend the money, bring the talent that's going to help you get to where you need. Don't cheap out on that stuff.
Yeah, maybe they're going to work with their cousin or whatever that's going to kick them back some commissions, and then they end up buying something and not really looking into it and doing all the due diligence they were supposed to do.
By the way, I see those sellers that are getting somebody from Northern California because they're licensed to list their house. What
Or
are
like-
you thinking?
Or like
Or
they just put it up on the MLS
Yeah.
thingies, I don't know
Yeah,
what
like
they're
the
called.
Simon guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's a guy, he charges like $500 and he'll like list it, but
Got it.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's
They're really
horrible.
discounting themselves. They're losing a lot of money. They're leaving a lot of money on the table by doing that.
Especially in this market. I mean, last cycle, maybe. No.
Yeah.
Now you
But
need
these
to know.
guys are not going to tell you if you paint your house, stage it, do a couple of things, maybe a little bit of landscaping, you're going to get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 more. But they're not saying anything. Oh, sign the contract, done, put up on the MLS, sell it. That's the whole, it's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Right.
think they completely disregard what actually goes on in escrow. I've been doing this 18 years. I'm in 2 escrows right now, and it is messy AF. And there's no way the buyer and seller could talk to each other. It is a hot, messy situation, right? How do they think they're going to navigate this independently? I do not know. Everything from the contracts to what you're on the hook for later as a seller, all these things are so important. And I think that anyone that does that, it's just a huge risk, especially in California.
By the way, when I drive a property, if I see a property, it's kind of like a fix or something, and I see on the for sale sign, it's like 661 area code or
You're like, I'm gonna call this
949.
one.
I'm like,
Yes. They don't
this
know.
guy, he doesn't know. He has no idea. North of the boulevard, south of the boulevard. He has no idea.
He's like, where is the boulevard?
It's a house and the zoning is
What?
R3.
Victory Boulevard? Yeah, it's south of Victory Boulevard. Okay, great. And even zoning, LARD 1.5 may mean so much to a developer. It might not mean jack to some agent from whatever, Downey.
They don't know.
Lancaster,
Yeah,
yeah.
just
They
don't
price
know.
it as a single family home and someone comes up.
Yeah, I'll have people, reach out to me because I'm a recovering realtor, as you know.
Cover.
Because we do this full time, but someone will call me and say, "Hey, I've got this house. I want to list it, and it's in, Anaheim." I'm not taking that on.
Oh.
Why would I take that on? So,
But that's where you get an opportunity to find somebody out there, build a relationship, and
Right.
pass it on. Give it to a
Collaboration's
pro
better.
in the area.
Referral database.
yeah, so I found somebody in Anaheim.
Mickey Mouse?
Goofy.
Make-
Motherfucker. Taking my jokes. That was goofy.
So who was your childhood crush?
Andrew Keegan. Do you guys remember him?
Yeah.
He was in Camp Nowhere. I was a kid, when that came out. I was also a bartender later in my life. I will not forget, I was a bartender in the Key Club in the VIP room, and that guy walked in and ordered a drink for me. I'm like, shut up. My dream is here. And then it's interesting to have that full circle moment similarly to
Do
that.
you have a list with your husband where it's like if
list.
anybody shows
No,
up on the
hell
list?
no. I would never trade my husband for anyone. That's
Oh my
it.
God. Me,
What about you?
I grew up in the Middle East, so I had a lot of magazines with Pamela Anderson on it.
Oh yeah. I mean, when the internet came out,
Right.
it exploded on Pamela Anderson.
Looking back, I would say that's probably it.
Pamela. I feel like every Middle Eastern kid wants Pamela. I want Pamela Anderson too.
Yeah, who didn't? I mean, really.
That's funny.
yeah.
What about you, Chuck?
Me, I don't have a list with my wife.
list.
I have an Excel spreadsheet
Yeah.
No.
With pages.
Values.
Sheet one.
Go to
sheet two.
tab 73. It's the blonde section.
Right.
He's got formulas. If so and so shows up, then
Cross it with.
This happens.
that's hilarious. Okay, so before real estate, right? If it wasn't real estate that you transitioned into, what would you guys be doing right now?
Man, I was in loans before that. I would have probably stuck with loans. I came from a background. We moved from the Middle East. I got into Macy's. I was a waiter. I door knocked for AT&T, selling Uverse. Did all.
You did?
Yeah. Did that for like 2 months. I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah, I sold cell phones when it was AirTouch, like way back when.
And then just going into banking and then falling into loans. And that kind of led me to meet and slowly getting my way into real estate. But, I enjoy doing loans. I like doing loans. I think it's a very lucrative business too. But I like the one-on-one interaction more and being out there.
All four of us have a background in loans.
Right.
Mortgages.
I feel like
And
half
mortgage.
the valley does, honestly.
Yeah.
When I was told
Yeah,
I
but
should
when
get in-
everybody left, I stayed.
That's right, he did. When I was told,
He's a
hey,
super
get into
lender.
loans, he was at UVF.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the money was.
Yeah.
I mean, that
I
was
tried to
crazy.
get a interview at his company, and I wasn't able
don't
to get
qualify, man.
Whatever. Nobody interviewed, so I went and worked for somebody else. And literally the first week, I'm looking at all these numbers in DTI and LTVs, and I'm like, what did I sign up for? And then I got my first paycheck, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I
I'm
like it.
okay.
I'll DTI this all day.
Yeah, all day. So I've been crunching my own
Right.
paycheck this whole time. I like that.
That's funny.
For me, I came here on an acting scholarship. So I definitely was going to be an
Interesting.
actress. I have a theater degree. And that was my jam. That's what I was going to do. And when I graduated, I was a fitness instructor, actress, bartender at night.
Hollywood.
And that I was doing the exact actor Hollywood thing. And I remember I was 22, and one day I looked around. He was my husband that met. I already had met Coco, and I remember looking around, and everyone around me was in their 40s, a little older than me,
Starving actors.
still trying to make it. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I want to be that story. So I decided to kind of go.
So
into a
do you incorporate that at all into your business
all the
now?
time. Ask George how much we film.
A lot. She's really good at it. It comes through for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm using it.
It gives you such an advantage because, the ones that have an understanding and a vision and a background in it, you can really create some interesting ways to engage your clients, right?
I'm like, what are we talking about? Where's the script? She's like, don't worry about it. Let's just sit down and talk. I'm like, I need something to structure, something to look at.
And it's not just that. I mean, in proper theater training, you get speech, diction, how to public speak, and all those things in our business are
This
huge.
is why she's talking like this.
Yeah.
Clarity, just how everything from how, just pronunciation in general, all that is so hugely valuable. So wouldn't have undone that.
It's funny because we had somebody here who's part of our content network. He's a TikToker, but he's also a commercial real estate agent. And he said that when he talks to people and he sees that they're having a hard time with their sales, he recommends they go take an improv class because it helps them with overcoming objections and how to really interact and be quick and witty. And it's crucial.
He's got also acting background, and when he comes in here, he scripts, boom, stories, skits. Like he's got outfits. He's got, he's ready to go.
It's a big part of our business. Something we talked about with our team too is it's not just about doing a sale. It's about connecting, asking the right questions, tonality. There's just so much involved in the entire process. The way that you speak, the way that you ask the questions, you got to smile, you got to have that right connection. There's a lot into it, right? And that all comes from improv and acting and coaching.
By the way, you said tonality. Did you guys ever listen to or study the Jordan Belford straight line? No?
Oh.
He uses that a lot. I don't know how to.
Got it.
I had a feeling you might. But what year were you at Key Club? Because now it's going to drive me crazy. I
So,
lived there.
Let's see. So I graduated college in 04. So it would have been 04.
It's like, that's where I met you for the first time.
05, 03 or 4, 05, around there. I had to be 21. So
Damn, I'm old. I think I was there like 98, 99.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were there when Coco was there.
There you go.
I was there after the club scene. It was a concert venue.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that's when I was there.
That's right. Yes. Okay, I was there once.
I got to actually see a lot of really cool, a lot of amazing music.
Yeah.
People from the 80s, like some really amazing acts that they brought in there. So
I think it was really smart that it became a venue because like it just opened up the doors. It wasn't just like, Friday night, Saturday night. It was like every night now.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I was working like 6 nights a week. And, bartending, that's a very lucrative business. That's another thing when you're making a decision.
If you're good at it.
Yeah, when you're making a decision to get out of it and you're making cash like that, it's hard to replace that income. So that was another kind of...
It's not just that. It's also fun, right?
Yeah,
like you meet some interesting people.
Yeah,
And
super fun.
Dina Carter, that was her name.
Oh.
There you go.
You had to Google that.
I didn't just remember that.
Did you just Googled it?
Yeah, I Googled it.
all right. So
She
on
still
that
exists.
note, what was the last thing you Googled?
Google
Oh,
that.
here, Camus wine. There you go. We're going to a friend's house and
Oh, man, mine's so boring.
getting some
I had
wine.
the MLS and then LADBS.
Dedication, right?
Dedication, indeed. So unless you don't have any other questions,
I got a ton of questions. So
I mean, we got kids to raise.
yeah. So speaking of kids, right? You guys both have families and you have kids. What do you say to women that say, I can't have a successful career. I have kids at home. I have to take care of the husband, the house. What do you say to that?
So I think that particularly now, and it's better than it used to be, right? There are a lot of really amazing working women, and it's more socially acceptable right now. But it's definitely not easy, and I think that it is a commitment on your part as a mom if you really want to be, a successful working mom. I have 2 kids. One's 10, one's 8. My 8-year-old has special needs. So I feel like I have more than 2 kids because she's a lot more to take care of. You can do anything you want to, but it comes down to systems. It takes a village to get it done. I'm up at 5 a.m., working out. I have to really structure everything that I want to. And you have to make at least a commitment with yourself that you're going to be at peace with the idea that you're not going to be able to make everything on both ways, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm working, there are things that I know that I'm missing, right, from my kids.
Yeah.
And when I'm with my kids, there's that element of like, I should be working.
Right.
So I have to get to work. And you have to learn how to make peace with that feeling and know that later, I know, my son will say, hey, my mom does X, and he's proud of that. Because in his world, mom works and dad works, and it's an equal cut thing. He has no idea that there is ever some sort of inequality there, that was socially conditioned.
I heard of an analogy somebody said once. Life is like a table, like a dinner table, and there's only so many plates you can put on before a plate falls off. So you can keep taking on whatever you want, but you're sacrificing something, right? And then you might be able to pick that up and put it on, but then something else is falling off. And it's just like that. So as long as you're comfortable with that and you're okay with that and you understand it, but you're also willing to get back to it at some point and balance that, that's crucial. What about you?
I think that's a big deal. I have a 14-month-old, so I still have a little bit more flexibility.
He knows it's coming, I tell him.
I know it's coming. I know it's going to get more difficult because I'm already getting to a point where, you're working day and night, 5 a.m. wake up, get back at home at like 6, 7 sometimes. Some people want to call you at 8. They get off work, and that's the time with the family, right? And now you could step away and take that call. It's 14 months, but down the line, you really want to block that time, and everything comes down to time blocking.
Yeah.
And telling, through our friend Dennis, he blocked from like 6 to 8:30, and he left a voicemail. Says, I'm with the family. If it's urgent, I will call you after 8:30. If not, you'll expect my call tomorrow morning. And I thought that was great. You're just setting the standard. Everyone respect that, right? If you tell them that it's your family time.
Right.
Some people have issues with that. They can't, right?
That's okay. They're not in my lane.
Right. And some agents also can't do that. They don't want to leave that message. They want to take that call, and that's where the balance issue comes in, I think, and it becomes more difficult.
They feel like guilt or shame for to their clients or to their family?
I think to their family.
To their family,
to not, block that time, or this is, 24/7. It's never ending. At the end of the day, it's all about support and balance, and not feeling guilty and blocking that time for the right activities.
And I also think for me, there are two things. I want, and I have a great family. I am there for my children, and the career that I have and the work that I do allows me to take them to Disneyland in the middle of the week if I want to.
Right.
Allows me to do a lot of other things that I get flexibility for, take vacations. This summer, I was gone once a month with them, because you only get 18 summers with your kids. So we try to take advantage of those times, right?
Yeah.
When they're out of
crazy,
school,
right?
so that we can do those things. But I know myself, and I know if I don't do this, what I'm doing now, I'm not gonna be happy with myself. I'm not happy with myself, I'm not a good mom.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's crucial because you have to take care of yourself first. And as much as that might seem selfish, if you're not taking care of number one, you can't take care of anyone else. So, and I know you also, because of your daughter, you do philanthropy and you do even more things on the side.
Yeah.
How do you, first of all, how does that even help you with your day-to-day in business? Because, I give back to the community also, and I don't do it for business, but it helps develop those relationships and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about, that side of your life?
So my daughter has quite a few things. She has epilepsy, she's autistic, and going through what she didn't get diagnosed or start having seizures till 2.5. So we thought we had a typical child until that point. Going through the experience that my husband and I went through, essentially she seized at 9 to 10 seizures a day for 9 months until we figured it out. With your 2.5-year-old, I never want to relive that experience. But I am one of those people that I didn't go into put my head in the sand mode. I went into I'm coming out swinging. So it was every therapy, everything under the sun, everything I could figure out, every research I could do to figure it out. And now she is doing incredibly well. She has every therapy she should, and every, things that along the way, she is doing she's doing amazing. But I think that where we're lacking is education for a lot of parents who have kids who have special needs. If you don't know what you're doing in the system and you don't navigate it properly, you will get lost. And it makes me feel a lot of compassion for these families that just don't know what to do or have the resources to really tackle it. So I've made it my mission to make sure that I'm vocal about it. Not only are we donating and stuff to Children's Hospital, who saved her life many times, but also talking to anybody that they'll reach out and say, hey, will you talk to my friend? Her kid has. Absolutely. I will talk her through everything that I learned or known over the last 7 years so I can give back a little bit to the community, because it's so important, because the resources are there. They're just really hard to find.
Yeah. we need more people like you.
She's
God
such
bless
a great,
you.
happy baby now.
She's amazing.
She's awesome.
That's awesome.
Absolutely amazing.
So before we wrap up, I have just one final question, and this is more of a fun one. If there was a movie and you guys are the characters, who would you want to play you in the movie?
Ooh.
Damn.
Ooh, I don't have an answer.
Who would play me in the movie?
I'm going to hope you guys found us characters before you asked us this.
Honestly, no. But I know somebody with great hair has to play him.
Yeah, it has to be the best hair.
Like Matthew McConaughey or something.
Meanwhile, I have Borat playing me.
Tough question.
Chuck, what would you give them?
Not based on looks, man.
Not based on why you guys supposed to be good looking or something. Honestly, one thing I took from this, and it's something I've known, but I'm really glad that whoever's going to be watching this knows, is kindness. How that is almost like a theme of yours, like with what you're going through, and you coming to this country, and things that humbilize you, and things that kind of allow you to kind of neutralize
put it in perspective.
The drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe some I don't know, kind people to play you guys.
Right, there you go.
Kind people.
That's actually, I'm saying it's a key to, a lot of people start growing and they forget about that. They forget where they came from and that humbleness and the kindness and giving back, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah.
He gives Like, I always listen to him talk to younger agents, and I have a lot of patience, but he asks this guy anyone will call him, and just doesn't have to be on our team. Just needing any kind of help, he gives so much of himself, like, to those
I got a
conversations.
call today from an agent that works for a pretty large team, and he's asking me a question about how to handle a client. And I'm thinking, why didn't he ask his team lead that? It's like, George, I respect you, you're a great guy, and I have a question for you. And he asked me this question, I answered it, and, all good. And, I said, you could call me anytime, any questions you have, let me know. And he loved that. I was just thinking, like, why did he call me? Why didn't he ask his team lead or anyone else?
Right. I feel like you say that like people forget, right, when they become successful. I actually think that it's not that they forget, it's who they really are in their nature. Right? Because you don't change by becoming successful. You just become honest, right? And if you're just a shitty person, then that shows once you have money, because you're cocky and you can just, you don't care what people think, but you're maybe pretending when you're down at the slumps, right? And I feel like when you're naturally a good person, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You just become even better of a person.
Yeah. We have a lot more giving back to do. We really, now we're having gotten to where we are, that's on the agenda. We just want to do more of that. Even educating people on whatever. There's so much more.
Our doors are always open.
Yeah.
People call us all the time, ask questions, how to do this, how to do that, what should I do, marketing, what should I spend my money on, whatever it is, our doors are always open. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
that's great. So if you've ever seen these guys and thought to yourself, how can I rub elbows with them? How can I link with them? How can I, here you can see it here, just plain, just boom, nice people. You can talk to them. You can vibe with them. You can ask questions. You can join their team one day. You can send them business. You can whatever, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and taking time out of your day to jump in the studio and talk to us. It was fun for me. I'm sure Chuck enjoyed it as well. And hopefully the people watching this are going to enjoy it too.
Thanks, guys. It's
Thank
always
you guys
fun
for having
with
us.
Chuck and you guys.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.